Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to TDS session on 7th July. And today we don't have a very specific agenda, or rather, I should say, we have a very light agenda. Obviously, many of you will have questions might have questions about projects, so we'll clarify those things first. And once that is done and all your doubts about project is cleared and you understand what's expected, the next thing we'll do is to just clear some doubts in some certain specific things. I'll also be going through Excel, how to do filtering and pivot tables. I was specifically requested to cover that because some students have, for example, not done BDM or things of that sort. So it can prove useful in certain scenarios, possibly in ROE. When you want to filter something very quickly and get to an answer very quickly, it might prove useful. So I'll cover some pivot tables and some filtering, show you how to do those things. And then there might be some doubts you might have over the past few weeks, and I'll cover those. With regards to week 5, it was just released a couple of days ago. Um, the material is new even for us because we have not studied LLMs and API usage of LLMs when we did TDS. So in that sense, we are in the same boat as you are. It's new to us, and so we'll be learning it together effectively. We'll still guide you through the process where you have difficulties, but I would not expect today to be able to solve all your LLM questions. But there is still some time for it, and we have not, it's only been a couple of days, and I'm betting most people haven't even looked at it because of quiz. So it would be kind of not useful to dwell into it too deeply today. Any questions before I get started discussing project? Okay, if there are no questions, then let's see here. So today I'm not at my usual workstation. Did someone have a doubt? Is it Amruta?
Oh yeah, I was like going to ask like because it was there we were all occupied with quiz one. So frankly speaking, I didn't see much for quiz one. What is there? I just saw one mail was there. So if you can brief us slightly because I joined the session, there was some issue here with the internet. So if you can brief in the while and then later on you can address when there is a good chunk of people because there's a quiz. So not many people have joined also today, right?
Actually, there's a surprisingly large number of people today than was there on Thursday. So you can feel
As
free
per
to
your
ask.
convenience, like whenever you want to brief about the project, like
Yeah,
as
I mean,
you and Amit decide.
yeah, no, I can. We can talk about the project now itself because that's what I'm going to do next. Just talk about project.
Okay, okay, that would be
Did you
great.
did you have a specific question about project?
No, nothing specific. You can just
Okay,
mention in detail. Then, in case if I have, I will definitely ask the question.
okay. So I'm not at my usual workstation where I normally conduct these sessions.
Okay, okay.
So it might be a little bit tricky for me today. So just bear with me if there are some technical issues. Okay.
No issues, no issues. Take your time.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. What do I have? Okay. So sorry for the infinite mirror. Right. So in project, so I hope you guys can see my screen. I can't see if you do any thumbs up, so I will need some audible
It's
cues.
clear. It's clear. Your screen
Okay.
is clear.
So maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger. So this is, so there are two parts to, okay, before we do that. So there are two parts to project. There's I suppose what's called the quantitative part where you will have to submit answers in a file in the given format that they have specified, which is mentioned here up at the front. Please do. So we see this every term. Okay, so that's why I'm going to talk about this. Please read like every sentence you see and every word you see very carefully. Okay, we this happened last term. It happened the term before. People don't read these instructions, and then they ask lots of questions in discourse and in sending direct messages, and then really the answer is already given in this. So please read this. This is these things that are mentioned here in the beginning. All the detail is valuable for you to do this. Okay. So basically what you'll do is you'll upload a CSV file containing your answers. I mean, it's obvious, you can read that here. And then it should be in UTF-8 format. Sometimes different packages that you use might save it in, like I think some of them save it in like Windows 1 to something, I forget the number, some weird number, some weird Windows encoding might be there. But just make sure whatever you do, it's in CSV UTF-8 format. Um, then the next thing is the answering of the CSV file. It must be in the same order as the problem statement below. So here, as you can see, questions asked in some random order, and it's random for every student. Um, and also, not only is it random for every student, the question sets might be different for different students. So some of you might get the same questions, but it might be in a different location. But the order is different, the sets are different, and also the subset that you have to work on is also different. I'll just get to that in a minute, okay? But I'll just go through this beginning part first. Then, of course, the next thing is it says use the link to scrape the data that's required, and the link is somewhere down here. So this is the link, okay? I hope you can all see this clearly. Again, I will need some audible feedback, okay, because I'm not at my usual
It's clear.
workstation. Okay, so that's where the link is. If you go to this link, I'll just demonstrate that now. Hopefully it's working. If it's not working, then this would be very embarrassing. Yes, it's working. So um, this is the link for what they're talking about here. Use the data link to scrape the data required. Now you can do it however you want, okay? There's no hard and fast rule. You can do it manually. You can if you're, I don't know, if you're wealthy, maybe you can hire some computer intern and have him manually enter and find the data for you. It's up to you how you do it. Okay, but what would be beneficial for you, I will say, what will be beneficial for you, I mean, many of you usually ask, right, how do I prepare for ROE? Try and scrape this. You have plenty of time, and this data set that is here was intentionally designed to give you practice in scraping. Because if you look at the inspect over here and try to look at it, it's got classes and it's got all sorts of not very clean comments and things, and that's intentional. Okay, this was intentionally designed this way. We could have made it nice and clean and everything, but actually this was intentionally designed so that you guys can get practice scraping. So this is good practice for ROE, and it's without any pressure. There's no time pressure to do this. ROE, you'll get a, so to give you an idea of how big this data set is, this data set is 4.6 lakhs rows of data is there in this data set that we have given you. So ROE will be something like that, or maybe even bigger. In ROE, you might have millions of lines. I don't know. Okay, but the important bit is not the size. It doesn't matter. But if you're good at the scraping, it makes very little difference how big the data set is. You'll be able to very quickly deal with the issue and get the answers quickly. So that's why I would recommend practicing your scraping skills on this, okay? Because it was designed to help you learn that as well. Can you do it without scraping? Of course you can, but you won't benefit from that if you don't take the opportunity to use it for this, okay? So that's one thing I wanted to mention. Right. Perform data cleanup to remove inappropriate or noise from the records. I'm betting, if I was a betting person, I would bet 50% of the students won't even read this sentence, or they'll read this sentence and ignore it completely, or it won't register in their mind. We have deliberately introduced noise in this data set. So you will have to think about all the 4 weeks that have gone by, what you know about data cleaning and all. and think of what might be appropriate things to look for that might help you to clean up some of the noise. So by noise, I mean there is some deliberate errors in the data set. They are not overly common, and that's by design, because like I said, 50% will just read past that and not even bother. They'll just get started to working on the project, and they will open and see, okay, Andhra Pradesh, okay, everything looks great. It looks fine, yeah, just on first glance, and then they will process the data. They will get an answer, and what will happen? They will submit it, and then they will find out that the answer is wrong, because there is deliberate errors in this. Now, the errors are not such that they are not cleanable with just some simple techniques. There are some simple data cleaning techniques that you should use regardless of what data set you're looking at. And you can just do those same simple techniques just to find some unusual anomalies in your data. If you can find those out, then you'll be able to score full marks without any issue. So don't forget this step. So you've been warned, okay? And you guys have been in my session, so I expect all of you to get full marks in this, okay? Right. So the next thing is some definitions. So vote share. Votes of the candidates divided by the total votes in that election year, expressed as a percentage. So I'll just take one example. So if we look at Andhra Pradesh and this constituency, so this data set is legislative assembly elections. That's what the data set is. It covers everything from independence all the way to the latest data that we have. There are a few things that are missing, but that's largely a back-end problem that we had with them. So we have not included those, but there are only a few that are missing. But by and large, it's, I would say, roughly 95% complete. But if you look at this data set of Ichipuram, if you look at this data set, the thing to recognize is, so there are some candidates, and there will be some votes for them. And the other thing is so you will see that, okay, the first place candidate got 34,251, and that's these votes they got. So vote share is basically, if you total all these votes, and if you divide 34,251 by the total votes, that gives you his vote share. So that's what vote share means. And it's explained here clearly, but I just thought I'll make it explicitly clear, because every term we get this question. So votes of candidate divided by the total votes in that election year. So in 1978, as you can see, in Ichipuram, that was the votes, and if you divide that by the total votes, you will get the vote share of that particular candidate. So is that clear to everyone? Again, you'll have to use your mic. So just give me a second. Okay, so is that clear to everyone? Hello? Am I
It's
audible?
clear.
Okay. Can we use pivot table? Yeah, you can use pivot tables. There's no issues with using pivot tables, Ravina. I think you were asking with regards to this data, right? That we are discussing, the data set for the project.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can use whatever tool you want. There is no hard and fast rule. Uh, uh, and if by chance any of you are able to use Excel to scrape the data, then that's pretty amazing, because I'm not sure that this data is scrapable by Excel. We did a test to see if it was possible to scrape it using Excel, and we did not find that it was, at least at first glance, it didn't seem possible. So if you are able to do it using
Because of
Excel,
its size, is it because of the size of data set?
no, it's not because of the size. We deliberately introduced some tags in the HTML to confuse Excel, so that Excel, so you can't just say save as or import into Excel, and Excel will suddenly produce it won't produce a neat table. At least in our tests, it didn't. So you might find that maybe Excel has become smarter or something, uses AI or something and does it. Maybe then great for you. But from our tests, we found that you can't or rather, I should say, we could not use Excel to directly scrape the data. But that would have been a easy example, right? Just go into Excel, say import, and it'll make you a nice little table. But I don't think that'll work. But if it works for you, that's great. You can use Excel. What I can say is once you scrape the data, then you can put it into Excel and do your pivots and filters. No problem. You can do that. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So the next thing is where were we? Okay, so gap between elections. So sometimes some questions, I don't know if there is one here. There might be a question. So okay, I can't see the questions. Right. Sometimes there may be a question where it might say, find the what was the vote, how much, or find the vote share increase in a particular candidate between two elections. Say for example, I don't know, let me see who's here. So let's say, for example, uh, Anwar, okay. He was in the election this year and he got certain number of votes. He was written in by all the TDS students to stand for election. And where are you from, Anwar?
I'm from Kerala.
Okay, from Kerala. So he was in the, he decided to stand for election. He was written in by his buddies to stand in the election. And he got some votes this year. And then he decided, that for the next few years, he decided it was a waste of time. But then he got interested in politics over some issue. And then 2 elections later, he decided to stand again. So that's what this talks about. Gap between elections. Sometimes there may be a break in between and did not contest the election. So it doesn't matter in certain questions when we ask about what was the growth share in his vote. So if he got 10% of the vote share this term and then 2 elections he did not stand, that does not mean his vote increase was zero, because we are looking at the uh, next election in which he stood for. So it could be 5 years from now or 10 years from now. We want to know if the question said is increase in vote share between 2 elections, then you just ignore the fact there is a gap. I hope that was clear. I know that can be a little bit confusing. Does anyone have a question in this?
And there will be a good chunk of people who have uh, participated only once, no?
Yes, so there will be, sometimes that will be the case. And your question should say, if I remember correctly, the question said, if that is the case, then if you can't, in your particular situation, can't find someone who stood for an election twice, then I think the answer would be NA or something like this. Depends on your question. If it's a numerical question uh, or what, there will be some clarification or some notes given with your question. Saying what to do in case that edge case occurs. So that's an edge case, right? Where someone doesn't stand again for an election. So if that happens in your particular constituency that you've been given, then there will be some appropriate answer for it, but it will be given in your question. So just check your questions. If there is any doubt about it, just post in the discourse, because then we can clarify it for you also. Okay. Any questions about that? That was a good question, by the way, you asked.
Sir, in my portal, it's given state name Karnataka. So should I work only on Karnataka state or the entire data
Yeah.
set?
So yeah, no. So that means that's what you got to work on. You have to work on. So if you look down here, that this is different for every student. So you will have to work on Karnataka and this constituency.
Okay.
It's like a filter, I think.
Yes, this is a filter. So that's what you have to be focused on. Your question might say, for example, in this state, what's the issue? Then you have to deal with it on a state-wise basis. If it says in this constituency, then you have to deal with it specifically with regards to that constituency. I don't remember. I mean, if there are issues, what I will do is I will check them against our. We have a special function to check. these questions against a certain answering script. So if there are any issues, again, just post in discourse well ahead of time so that we can see if there are any difficulties that students are encountering with regards to the questions. But this is your filter, and that's generally what you have to work towards. There might be some questions where it I'm not 100% sure at this point, but there might be one question that deals with something bigger than this data set, but I don't think there is. I think all the questions deal within this subset. So some might be state-wise, some might be constituency-wise. It will be clear in the question. And if it's not clear, mention it in the discourse, okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Next thing is margin percentage. So that's the difference in vote share between contestants.
Hello.
Yes.
Just a moment, Carlson. It is like there is a question which says, is it okay to discuss? I think it is
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. You can discuss the question, no problem.
It says in which year was the difference, sorry, the most number of, what percentage of elections did female candidates win? Okay.
Yeah.
When
So
there was at least one female candidate in that election. So
yes.
here, is it restricted to that constituency or state or the overall? It is not clear actually in the question.
Okay. What I would suggest is at the moment you work with it on a constituency level. I'll just make a quick note. What's the question number that you're looking at?
It's 14.
Okay. Just give me a second here. Because if there are any clarifications, we'll also make an official posting or announcement about it. If there are any modifications to clarify the question. I would say work with the assumption that it's the state and the constituency. Okay.
Yeah, if it is like everything is restricted to that state and constituency, then we need to look for only that data. No, I need not worry
Yes.
about all the other these things.
Yes.
Take only that data and work.
Yeah, but what I'll do is, like I said, I've made a note of the question number. I'll clarify it against our answer script, what the answer script is expecting. And if further clarification is needed on that question. So say, for example, in your case, if the answer script says, okay, the answer we're expecting is on a state-wise level, then we will issue a clarification about that, okay? And it'll not be individually for you, it'll be for a clarification for everyone who has that question. Does that help?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Right. So the next thing is right. Okay. So margin difference. Margin percentage is difference in vote share between contestants. So if this person Bendalam got 25% and he got 20% of the vote share, margin difference is 5% between the two of them. Okay. I hope that was clear. I know this sounds very simple, but people actually had questions about these things. So that's why we have made it explicitly clear what we mean by these terms. Next is losing the deposit.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the same is actually true for question number 2 also.
Okay.
Like, which says which election year had the most female candidates contesting an election. So
yes.
it looks to be kind of open.
Okay.
It says which election year had the most female candidates contesting an election.
Okay.
So that doesn't normally look to be restricted to the constituency.
Okay. The one thing also I would mention is there is clarification given about how to respond if you don't find anyone, right, on those questions.
Oh no.
I mean, does it say, for example, if there were none, then
no, nothing is there.
Is it an integer answer? I guess it would be.
The questions are basically on the this thing, that not part kind of thing.
If
Okay,
it's in,
so
if yeah,
nothing.
if
It
it's
is
a
only
Hmm.
no numeric. It is not mentioned anything on that.
Oh, it's not mentioned integer or string.
That I'll have to go and see in the portal.
Okay, okay, yeah, because no, I think all questions should have that anyway. So if it's a numeric answer, I mean, it would be 0 if you don't find anyone within the constituency. But again, I will just check against our answer script.
No, that is not there now. It is because even in the answer we are supposed to give CSV.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, it's CSV, that's true, but you can have some questions that require a string. So
No, the
sometimes you may
answer.
ask,
What I mean is the answer is not question wise. You are supposed to upload one file.
yes,
Okay, so it is only one zip. Sorry, one CSV file will go inside.
correct.
So there is
But
no
what
clarifications.
yeah, no, but what I was saying is, for your individual answer, some of it might be a string, some of it might be an integer, or some of it might be a float. So that will be specified in your question. At the end of your question, it will always say integer, float, or it might say string. So if it's a candidate's name that we are looking for, then you'll have to put a name of a candidate.
Yeah, that is there. Like if there are no female contestants, then answer will be NA. It is written.
Okay, okay. So yeah, so just make sure you follow whatever whatever it says there. Okay. But I'll, but
Still the basic question of whether it is restricted to the constituency or not
yes,
restricted, that need to be
yeah,
very
okay.
clearly, that scope of the question has to be very clearly defined.
Yes, yeah, I agree with you. So I'll confirm that I've made a note of those two questions. So this is question 2 and question 14, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll clarify that on our back end and make sure that it is explicitly clear. Okay, thank you, Anwar. Right. Loses the deposit. When a candidate fails to secure at least 1/6 of the total votes. So I hope that's clear. Does anyone have any questions what that means? So it means like you total all these votes. If they fail to get at least 1/6 of those total votes, then they lose their deposit. Is that clear? Yes.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Then absolute majority, when the candidate secures a vote share exceeding 50%. That means not 50. 50 is not what we are looking for, right? Exceeding 50. So it should be at least like 50.00001, that's okay. But if it's 50, then we don't consider that. Okay, submission. So they've given you an example here. I myself have not checked what this is. Let's see. Oh, right. I can't access it because I don't have TDS. Okay.
Actually, you have to remove
It's a
the
simple
end of
submission
the,
file.
Sorry?
at the end of that
They have
link.
given a simple submission
You have to remove
file.
I'm sorry. Could one of you
you have to
speak, please?
remove the you can copy paste it, and you have to change the URL because some extra string is there at the end of it. Yeah, edit, we have to remove that and it will
Right,
show.
right, right. Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to correct that. Thanks for pointing that out. I'll just make a note of it. So remove edit, because I'm sure someone will raise this on this course as well. Okay. Oh, it worked with the edit. You sure you have to remove this?
Yeah, for me it worked after removing.
Right, okay. It seems to work. I mean, I didn't remove it. I just pasted and went there. Okay. Anyway, if there's any issues, please post in discourse, because then I can share that with the instructors if there is an issue. Okay, troubleshoot for wrong answers. Okay, test run, check if your numbers match. Okay, so these are all, I think, self-explanatory. Answers. Yeah, okay. Trailing white space, make sure there's no, and not only trailing white space, I would say even if there's white space in front, sometimes that might cause an issue. So just be careful about that. Hint, hint, there might be such noise in your data, maybe, I don't know. Okay, if the string answer contains comma, enter the string answer with double quotes. Yeah, so that's clear enough. Questions. Okay, so this is the part I was talking about. Each one of you, this will be different possibly for every student, I don't know. But it is randomized, the set. So this is the state name you have to work with, and this is the constituency name you have to work with. It'll be different for each student. And this is the link that you have to use to get to the data set. And then, of course, the questions are also been given in these individual, again, these are, I think, because they're parameterized or something, I don't know. I know one thing that I know it's not necessary to discuss this, but the reason we could not give the question directly here was there was some character limit on portal. It only accepts up to 4,000 characters. So that's why we weren't able to give you the questions cleanly. You have to go to this Google Docs with the questions individually. So apologize for that. It's a technical shortcoming of portal. So that's why we couldn't provide you the questions directly. Okay, so that's just the summary of the test cases. And so that covers this. Any questions so far about
Yeah,
project?
Carlton, I have a few questions if I may ask.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So first thing is like as you mentioned, there is a file. Like for example, when you started showing the file, uh, like
I mean, this?
there's a data set given here, right?
Yeah.
So when I click on the data set and paste that particular URL, so
Yeah.
that shows exactly the same data set what you showed. Now our task would be to like exactly the same screen like what you have shown, and then
Yeah.
every individual would be given a different kind of a state and a constituency within that,
Yes, yeah.
right? So
And
for example, if I've been given Punjab and whatever constituency it would be, so that I will have to scrape that particular constituency data from from this particular table.
correct. And remember, you'll have to do it for every year also that constituency existed. So here you have 1978. Then you have to go to, I don't know where we have to go because we have deliberately made this difficult. So we have to find this constituency again somewhere. As you can see, I can't find it. Wait, let me, here, let's go here. Okay, so Ichipuram is here. So yeah, you'll have to get it for every year that this constituency existed. Some constituencies don't exist for every election year.
Right,
Some may, for some reason, they may get dissolved, or some new constituency might be created.
or they
Lots
might
of
have
things.
been merged with someone else, some other constituency.
Correct, correct, correct. So just keep a lookout for that. Okay?
Right.
So make
And
sure it's for every year. Yeah.
right. So for every year, we have to scrape the data for that particular state and the constituency.
Yes.
And like you have already given one like sample data submission template. And what I can see is the questions are not serial wise. So it could be jumbled questions. So we have to answer it accordingly. So, right?
Yes, exactly in the order that you received it.
Right. And exactly in the format that we have got.
Yes. And your questions, let me try and pull up one question if I can. I don't know if I can. Let's try that. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so it'll say the question and it'll tell you the format, string. So that means you'll have to do that. Put it in a double quotes and answer string questions that way. And since
Okay,
that
so
was the first
string, float,
question,
and
yeah.
integer, this would be the three formats what we would normally see for answering the
Yes,
questions.
yes. I don't think, yeah, I'm 100% sure there's no other format. It's only string, integer, or float. Yeah.
Right, right.
And sir, we have to answer this in this Excel sheet in
Uh,
this way.
I mean, you have to make a CSV file, a comma separated value file. So you can do that in Excel sheet if you want, or you can do it in Google Sheets if you want, or you can even do it in Notepad. You just make a simple text file. So it'll look something like this. So if I say new file, and let's say this was the answers or something. By the way, this is not what you should write. Okay, don't write answers. Okay, follow exactly the instructions that was given at the beginning. But this is how you can write the CSV file. So let's say question 10, you put a comma, and then you put whatever the answer was supposed to be. So let's say this was the answer. So then you go to the next line and you do whatever. If Q2 was the next one, so you write your answer this way in a text file. Also, you can do a CSV file, because that's what a CSV file technically is. It's just a text file with values separated by commas. So that's what a CSV file is. So you can even do it in Notepad. Is that
And then
help?
save it as CSV UTF-8
Yes,
format.
correct.
Okay, Carlton, one more thing. Like,
Mhm.
for example, I did not see like what you have already mentioned, like TDS underscore project one election submission data. So, is there any naming format given? I did miss that particular thing. For naming the file, are there any protocols? Like how, like it has to be a roll number or something like that?
I'm not
I
sure
didn't see
myself.
anything on that, or did I miss that thing? Because when you have given a sample file, also it is written as TDS underscore project one election data submission template. So, do we need to put our roll numbers there?
Um, that's a good point. Let me just make a note of that if there is a specific requirement.
Yes, because
Um,
for MLP project, they made some kind of a um, particular
Yeah,
protocol instructions for submissions of the file also.
yeah, I'll clarify that. That's a good question,
Yeah.
because I didn't see any instructions with
Yeah,
regard
I
to
was also just scrolling through that information. I didn't see anything, so it's better we know it earlier. Otherwise,
that. Oh,
people will start submitting.
sure. Um, okay, I've made a note of that, and that we'll try and get answered maybe by tomorrow itself. Um, my assumption for the moment is there isn't, because we haven't given any instructions. So it would be unfair to expect students to follow any kind of format if there wasn't any explicit instruction given for that. I don't see one. Let's see
Because here on
here.
this system itself, we can see our scores. I don't think you will be needing to download the files, but then still, when we are uploading it,
Sure.
if there is any format for uploading it or writing the roll numbers, that would be easy in case of further like any clarifications or any problems might come.
Yeah. I'll check this with the instructors.
Yeah.
But tomorrow itself, I'll put this as a priority anyway.
Okay, Carlton. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up. Very good question. Okay. Any other questions about this before we go to the qualitative assessment?
yeah, Carlton.
Yep. Go ahead.
When we can you just open Excel?
Yeah.
Any file would do.
Okay.
Yeah, when we select save as, we get two options: CSV UTF-8 and normal CSV.
You want to choose CSV UTF-8.
Okay.
Yeah, it's written CSV UTF. We have to choose.
Yeah, because I'm also doing BDM with this course, and there it was the same confusion because we saved in UTF-8 and the portal was not accepting it. So that's all.
Okay. I mean, I'm taking BDM this term as well, so I understand the fiasco going on there.
Yeah.
But what I did for that is I just did the file in Google Sheets, and it worked fine. So,
Okay. Thank you.
okay. I don't expect that we will have the same problem here, but you never know, because the portal is the same for everyone, right? So,
Yeah,
but
that's
having
true.
said, yeah, but having said that, I will say there's one big difference. Um, because I'm privy to how backend systems work here now. I do know that it is reliant on the instructors doing a good job with providing uh, the data to the technical team in a very specific method. So there is some of that involved with regards. So there is some blame to be shouldered by. Um, okay, I won't talk more about that. But my point is, it doesn't necessarily mean that every course will suffer the same problem.
Okay.
Right. I almost
Okay,
put my
one more
foot.
thing, Carlton. Like for
Yeah.
example, when you go scroll to the last part of the particular thing, like it shows test cases. Can you scroll down?
Yeah.
Huh. So it shows public cases, test cases passed. So let's say there are a few questions, like maybe 10 questions roughly, and in case if we submit the file here, only we will get the answer. Like at least like in case of BDM, we used to see how many questions were right. So
So I
what kind of a like result is going to show here? So can do we have any choice to upload the file again?
yeah, from previous terms, it was always possible, where I don't know if it has changed specifically for this term. I can clarify that with the instructor. I'll just make a note of that question as
Because there
well.
are two things, like public test cases not graded
Yeah,
and private test cases are graded.
correct. So normally what happens is public test cases only check the format, that your format is correct,
Exactly. Yeah.
and private test cases will be visible to you only after the submission date, and that will tell
Okay.
you
Okay.
what was wrong. Typically, that's what has happened in previous terms, where they will actually tell you specifically what was wrong in the
Because
private.
I believe we had this kind of a submissions for some other subjects as well. I don't recollect exactly which one, but
Okay.
then there we used to know how many answers are correct, not correct at the moment we are submitting. So is this the case
Yes.
here? Like, can we upload the file again in case if we know?
Yeah.
Ma'am, it
Yeah.
was
You can.
BDM.
Yeah, it was BDM.
Okay. Yeah. So the thing for the reason I can't talk about BDM now is because for BDM, for us at the moment, we are doing BDM now. It doesn't tell you anything. So we have no idea if we are right or wrong at all. In
We
fact,
used
even
to
after.
we used to get the answers at the moment. Like the moment we submit, it will tell you 9 out of 10 correct.
Yeah, you guys are lucky. We just know after the submission, after the deadline is passed. Not only do we in this term not know, also we don't know what answers are wrong, even though the deadline is passed. So we don't even know which questions we got wrong. So you
Oh,
guys were very, very lucky. I mean, everybody is really suffering this term in BDM because we don't even know what is wrong or anything.
okay.
So there is a post I've made. Please like that post. I made a post on Medium, little bit of a rant about this issue that we can't even know what is wrong even after the submission is finished. So, okay, that's a little plug-in for mine. Uh, right, moving on. Any other questions regarding project one? Well, this part of project one. Anyway.
Okay. Other than the explanation, if in brief you can just let us know what are the hurdles we are going to get here.
The main hurdles are there will be some noise in the data,
Okay.
meaning it will not be straightforward to process. There will be some little cleanup required on your part to make the processing possible. Of course, this depends on the question you're getting also. So that is there. But do data cleanup. That's what I would say before you actually start answering any questions. Just look for obvious things that might be not right with the data. Let me ask you a question. If you have given a data set and you know that there might be some issues with it, what are things you normally check for? I'll turn that question around to you.
Okay.
Anyone can answer. Go ahead.
We check for missing values, we check for the white spaces, we check for some random text coming over there. For example, when I was scraping the data from the website, like let's say Wikipedia. So in
Yep.
that case, the election data would come as like 1 lakh women, and in bracket it would come as C.
Okay.
So I will have to remove that C to make some operations there.
Yeah.
So
Those are
that kind of
all
a thing
good
might
points.
happen.
Yes. Anything else that you can think of? Anyone? Come
That
on,
white
guys.
space is a very important point, what you mentioned. Like if you
Hmm.
copy paste that, even if it is in the front or back, it would make the Excel operations or any operations very tedious. You would not
Yes.
understand what has happened.
Yes. So anyone else wants to?
Yeah, instead of NA, there might be question marks or some other values.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
possible. Okay, anything else?
Can we use pandas to do the data cleanup?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can. In fact, the pandas is one of my favorite things to use. So I would say yeah, definitely. Any other ideas that people have? What else could be?
I think I would check for columns which are unused or which have very few values. So I would preferably remove them.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay,
Some blank columns can also be there.
blank columns. That's not
Text
likely
can.
with this data set, but that's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Any other things?
I mean to say like missing data in between.
Yes, that's possible. Yeah, missing data is possible.
One question, Carlton.
Hmm.
I have the data set open in front of me, and in that I can see that the age and category columns are blank. So do we have to perform any operation on them, or do we have to
It,
remove them?
it depends on your question.
Okay,
So that's it's like someone else pointed out, right? There might be missing things. So it depends on if you can do processing with them or without them. It depends on your question.
got it.
Okay. Anything else? Can anyone else think of anything? What might you find in the data set that might cause problems?
A wrong entry, maybe
Okay.
an outlier.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
Is it there if the data case was?
Sorry.
Is it there this in this case also?
Uh, the you will find out. I mean, I think in fact in the next part, what we're going to discuss is there. We will ask you to do an analysis that. Let me see before I say anything. Um, yeah, yeah. So you will have to find out if there are any outliers. So I would say yes, that's possible. That there will be maybe significant number of outliers or not, depending on what data you're working on.
And, here also in this data, this replacing null values or missing values will be very tricky, right?
Uh,
It cannot be
Replacing, yeah,
like votes obtained.
yes,
Suppose I replace it with 0.
yes.
It doesn't make any sense, no?
It depends on the context.
Yeah,
So
suppose if I put it on 0, then that affects overall like total votes, minimum versus the topper versus the bottom.
yeah,
All those things it affects, right?
yeah. So it depends on the context. Again, I'll make that. I know it sounds like it's not like an answer, but it depends on the context. I'll give you one example. There are some constituencies that will show everyone as having NAN as votes, or I don't know how it's presented in this data set, but on the back end, it presents as NAN. So it might be a blank in this one, I'm not sure. Um, but if it presents that way and every single candidate has got NAN, typically what that means is, and if you do some research, you'll find out that that election was probably there was some problem with that election and that election was made void because of some discrepancy in that election. So that's possible. But if you make all zeros in that, it doesn't affect anything really, because it depends on, again, it depends on the question. Then there are some constituencies, this is another example, where you will find there is only one candidate and it will say NAN. Can you tell me why that might be?
Maybe unopposed.
Correct. So if they are unopposed, if you do your research, I'm not sure if I should tell you these things, but anyway, since we had brought it up and I'm feeling a bit sympathetic towards you guys, I will say that if usually what happens is if it's unopposed and if you search the Election Commission's website, you'll find that unopposed, normally what they do is they don't record any votes. They just put any in. So that's another example. So if you put 0 there, that potentially could mean that he got 0 votes, which is not true. So it depends on the context. And it also depends on your question. So if your question specifically gives you some directive regarding that, then follow the directive that's given. If at all it's unclear in your question, then post on the discourse. So then we can sort it out, or even ask in this session that you have, the TA session. So we can make a note of it and provide additional official clarification if there is some ambiguity in something. Now remember, this is 4.6 lakhs of data that we had to deal with. We spent weeks on this data. I know you don't get to see the work that we have put into this. So there are things we will also miss and you might uncover. So that's why I say if you find something is ambiguous in your question and you feel that you're not able to answer it appropriately because the question is not clear enough, definitely please let us know early so that we can give you a clear guidance on it. Okay. But back to this question of what else can you do with regards to cleaning. I'm still waiting for someone to say something important. That's why I'm waiting to find if someone can tell me what else could you do to clean the data.
Good evening, Carlton.
Good
I
evening,
joined
Naren.
late. I joined late after finishing our quiz one, and we came late, so I was late. So 1 or 2 minutes, can you just tell what you have covered for last 1 hour?
So we are basically discussing about project itself. The project, what are the deliverables? There were some good questions that were raised. If you watch the recording a bit earlier, you will be able to get those. Some things that needed clarification. So basically, we are going through project and making it clear to everyone what's
How
requirements.
to make that HTML into CSV or something like that also previously discussed, or we are just
we haven't discussed that. We haven't discussed the technical way of doing things. We're just mainly discussing what the deliverables are.
Okay. So from HTML to CSV, will we be discussing later, or it is left us to find out how to do that?
Yeah, I mean, with regards to HTML to CSV, I mean, it's something that you guys should. I mentioned this at the very beginning. The whole point of it is to think of it as a practice run for ROE without the time pressure. The data set has been specially crafted. I know it sounds amazing, and frankly, we are also amazed, but it's been specially crafted to help you practice your HTML scraping skills.
Okay. That's what I just wanted. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. So we were discussing what can you do to clean up the data. So far, many of you offered very good suggestions, but I'd still like to hear some more suggestions. What you could be looking for to clean up in a data set.
Maybe sometime the data might be like, for example, if there are votes that might be entered in a different format, so we need to change the formatting also in case we want to do some operations on that.
Yeah, that's good one. Yeah,
date time format could be different, name format could be different, like number, the vote should be in numbers, that might be in some different format.
Correct.
So data type might be needing, might be changed, we have to change the data type.
Yes, some cleanup might be needed on data types. Yeah. Anything else?
Will there be kind of differences in the candidate name in 2 different year elections? Like one is in spelling mistakes or something. Is there a chance like that?
That's possible. We discussed this extensively in our back-end meetings. We decided not to uh, have students deal with that. So the assumption you should make is if the spelling is different, then they are different candidates. We were going to introduce very specific noise on constituency names, though, that we wanted students to clean up constituency names based on misspellings. But it didn't make the cut in terms of getting it ready in time for projects. So we have decided not to challenge you on that this time.
There may be repeated entries, duplicate entries, which we have to clean.
Correct, that's possible. So that's something you could look out for, duplicate entries.
I would also look out for data integrity, like in a particular state, if I find the name of a party or a constituency which is not a part of it, then I would remove that.
Say that again, please.
I am saying data integrity, like for example, I am doing my project on West Bengal and there is a constituency name which is not a part of West Bengal, so I'll remove that
Okay,
particular.
that I would advise against, because some constituencies specifically existed only for 1 year. Sometimes that happens, but that does not make the data invalid.
I'm not saying that, like for example, suppose a constituency of Tamil Nadu has been included in the data set for consisting of constituencies of West Bengal. I'm talking about that case.
Okay, in this data set, you won't have that problem.
Okay.
We have made sure that that won't happen. But there is a possibility that two states can have the same constituency name. That is possible, because
No, but the constituency number will be different. No, like we start with 1, 2, 3. We are starting in the data set.
Correct.
If I could see AC 1, then the name Uttarkashi, 2 Tehri, 3 Devaprag, like that.
Yeah, correct. So we have not encountered where the number and the constituency both are the same for two states. That's true. But again, it's a very large set, so it's remotely possible, but you should not have to worry about that generally, I don't think. But it's a good point.
Moreover, we are for each and every person, only one AC is given, isn't it?
Yes, only one AC is given. But I have to do some clarification on certain questions, whether it's a state-wise question or a constituency question. So those we will get clarification as soon as possible and make an official announcement about this.
Okay.
But there might be same questions for the same constituency for all the students. The constituencies might be different, but the question might remain same.
Yeah, the question might remain same, but the constituencies will definitely differ. So
yes.
So that's why it's important for us to clarify those specific questions, if it's state-wise or a constituency only.
Okay, how many constituencies are there?
How many constituencies? I think at last count it was 6,900 constituencies.
Okay, 1/6 of that only we are there in BA. What 1,200? What is the BA count? I mean TDS count.
Sorry,
TDS course enrolled people.
Oh, people enrolled 1,100 people.
Yeah, 1/6 only. Okay, so there is no chance that same constituency will be there for two.
Yeah, that I don't know, because we were not privy to how they divided up the constituencies to students. So that we were not told, but we worked on the data set though. So we are very familiar with the data set.
Very good. I think you had a nice live experience, no?
Yeah, it was really, I mean, all the TAs say they don't want to become TDS TAs because it's a lot of work on the back end.
Okay.
I mean, of course, we could just be lazy and do a bad job, but I feel a personal responsibility to my fellow students to do my best. So.
Sure. It was very nice.
Thank you. Right. So we'll talk about the next aspect of it. I think you all made good points about data cleaning. I hope you all made notes also of what your fellow students suggested. some of them will definitely come useful when you're cleaning the
Yes.
data.
Carlton, before you go to the qualitative assessment, something related to this only, but not exactly related to this. So we
Okay.
have got two projects, one ROE and last end term. So there won't be even the quiz two for this subject, right?
Yes, there's no quiz two.
So
There's
these
no
two
quiz two.
projects, ROE and the end term.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
By the way, is there a deadline they're given? 21st July. Okay, so you guys have loads of time for this project.
No, but even for my project 2, it is 21st only.
Yeah, don't worry about that. We'll discuss that with the instructors and.
But again, ROE is on 20th.
Yeah, again, personally.
Yeah, that's overlapping.
Yeah,
That is
personally.
one concern we will like to put in front of the team.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't think it'll be ready for the 20th, just because I'm aware of the back-end issues. But I cannot say for sure, okay, because it's also dependent on the instructors. But we will try and make sure that you guys get a fair shake on being able to have sufficient time
for ROE or for project submission.
For both. We will see what the team ends up, because we will, like I said, we
the students who
advocate.
will be having MLP project, that also is coming nearby at the same date.
Okay.
Even
Yeah, and also the MLP OPP is also there on
OPP is on 21st.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'll make a note of that.
I think this month, July, there is no time to sleep.
Yes, for you and me both, Naren. No time to sleep.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Probably it is more taxing for you.
Yeah,
we
I mean,
only have to learn our subjects for now.
Yeah. But of course, there are people who work and have families as well. So I understand the difficulties they have as well. Right. So if there's nothing else, we'll talk about qualitative assessments. Okay. Okay, qualitative assessments. Now this, I believe this is the peer-reviewed part, and basically what you have to do is, again, they use the same state and constituency name that you were given in the first part, and the next thing is use a box and whiskers plot. If you don't know what that is, look up examples, or a violin plot. This is up to you. Okay, you can choose what you want to do. To display outliers in candidate votes. I think these two questions are the same for everyone, as far as I'm aware. Use a different color to clearly highlight the outliers. These are not suggestions, okay? Please do pay attention to these. Do not consider candidates with nan, null, non-blank votes for these questions. 0 votes is a valid vote. So if you see anything that says 0, that is valid. But if a candidate has none or nan or any of or blank, don't consider those. But 0 is a valid vote. And you will see something called nota as a valid candidate. Can anyone tell me what nota is?
None of the above.
We are more than 18 years old.
Yeah.
All are electorates of this Bharat.
Okay, so yeah, none of the above is the correct answer. It is anyone who so if you don't if you're not interested in politics, when you go for voting, sometimes you don't like any of the candidates, so then you say none of the above. So that's what nota is. And sometimes notas will have significant number of votes also, which is quite interesting. Which brings me to another interesting point, which is this data set is quite rich. I would use it even after you finish your project. It's worth just using it to play around and find some interesting things in it. So feel free to play around with the data set. Okay, it's interesting.
Maybe Anand sir will give that one mark project based on this also.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. In fact, I have an idea that of what he should give students, but I won't tell you what that is at the moment.
Okay.
Right. Use a scatter plot to show correlation data between the length of a candidate's name and the votes gathered by the candidate. So what that means is, I know it seems like a very esoteric question, and the idea is to see, does it matter how long a candidate's name is? Does it make a difference to the number of votes they get? So you'll have to show a scatter plot to show, is there a correlation or not? So
I think this was interesting in this year's Tamil Nadu election.
okay, maybe I don't know. It depends on your state and constituency. So you'll have to see what you get in your charts. Again,
For this analysis, certain things we can assume like space or with.
Yeah, I mean this is just qualitative, right? So yeah,
no exact answers will be there for this.
Yeah, that's true.
Only the peer review will be.
But this would be peer reviewed, right? So
yes,
there would be a lot of opinions around this.
yes. So the opinions, to deal with the opinions, one of the things is you got to make sure that everything is labeled correctly, and you have to provide clear indications to distinguish between the different categories. So just make sure you, whatever chart you're producing, that even someone who is disinterested, would be able to clearly understand what's going on. Okay, so just try to make it as clean and clear as possible is my suggestion. And
what would we type? What would we type in type here?
pardon, I didn't hear that question. Could you repeat that again, please?
In the box where it is written type here, what we are going to actually type in that?
Carlton, the type here, that text box. The text box.
This one, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I myself don't know.
We have to just paste the Google Drive link there.
No.
Yeah.
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 You have to just paste the Google Drive link there and organize all your charts, maybe in an Excel sheet, or maybe.
Correct. So it says here, organize all your charts in one folder in Google Drive. Include the link to this folder in your submission. So that's what you do here. You put the link to your folder.
No explanations or something, right?
Explanations would be in your submission itself, within your submission, in your chart or whatever you're producing to explain. In fact, what they didn't do, and I will again make sure it's made clear with the backend team. I think we might have to add some more clarification to this. Normally, you have to give an explanation of your findings.
You need to either put whether in Excel file we need to add the thing, like clear the Excel sheet as a text and then write the text there, or if we have to paste the particular chart in a Google Doc or a simple doc and then write the explanation.
Yeah, I'll just
Google
clarify
Doc would be
that.
better than writing in an Excel sheet, I believe.
Or we can simply share the collab notebook.
Collab.
It's not necessary that always you'll do the things in collab. You can also like do it in Excel or something like that.
That's how in MLP project or things were done. Like
We can have charts and explanations in the same file in collab, right?
One small suggestion I can give for those who have not yet done business analytics. So for this charts and other things, business analytics week 1 videos, if you can see, it will be really helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Naren. Okay, so I will clarify that. Okay, what you guys have to actually submit. I mean, obviously you have to put the charts, but explanations, it's not explicitly mentioned here. So I will make sure that it's clarified on here for everyone.
Within the submission, if you can put that it should be in a Google Doc or whatever format, so that would be better, because then people will use n number of formats to save it, and during peer review it will cause a lot of problem.
Yes, I will definitely bring that up with the team. So we'll clarify these things as soon as possible. But at the moment, it's basically what you put here is just
charts.
Link to your Google. Your link to your folder in the Google Drive that contains the charts.
Yeah.
For now, that's what you got to put here. Just your link to the Google Drive,
And the drive link should be created with the college ID also.
Yes, and
No,
also
sir, it says anyone who is having the link.
Yeah, no, that's true. But what it has to be is it's got to be your
It got to
university
be your
Google Drive.
college ID.
Yeah.
For making that Google Drive.
Yeah, it can't be like an external
ID.
Google Drive. Yeah, it cannot be your personal Google Drive. Okay, it's got to be your college Google Drive. And also that folder that you make in Google Drive, make sure the access permission is set to anyone can with the link can view or open. Okay, this is very important. Last term, many people had issues with this, and they got 0 in their peer review because the peer could not review their submission. So make sure that you do this. Okay, so I mean, I could show you an example maybe. So if I go here, and if I say, so share, and so if I wanted to share that, so imagine this was a folder, then I would click on this one that says anyone with this link. So that's what you got to do. Okay, make sure you do that and then say done. That's all.
Yeah,
you have
because
to do.
the last time there was one problem encountered from the reviewer side also. Like they tried to open the link from their personal email ID. They didn't realize they're not using the IIT email ID. And then they gave the review that the person has not given the access. So the
Right.
candidate suffered. They got 0
Okay.
marks.
Okay. Well, good point. I'll. Were you there last term, Amruta, in this post?
Yeah. I
Oh,
was there in
right.
stats too.
Oh, right. Okay.
With your team only.
Right. Okay. Cool.
That's why.
Right. So yeah, that's a very good point. We'll make it clear in.
But peer reviewing will not be able to open from this thing. No, like we have to do it from with the email, college email ID only we can open, isn't it?
I
have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it's better if we make it explicitly clear to the peers that they have to open the.
Because the problem is once the peer review is done, I observed this in stats too, and I really had a very bad experience.
Okay.
Like once the peer review is done, nothing can be done by anybody. Like even the TAs cannot go and review everybody, neither the instructors can review everybody.
No.
So even the peer reviewers have to be responsible before giving a 0 to anyone.
Correct. We'll make that explicitly clear. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a very good. Okay, I think that covers everything that I wanted to talk about project. Anyone else have any questions?
But the peer review always like we used to do it in a way like if access is not there, we used to mail that person telling, look, you have to give the access.
Yeah, but if we can avoid all those things right from the get go, that would be better.
Here, the first question, can you just elaborate a bit because the number of graphs, how many it is likely to come. For given state, use viscous plot to display the outliers in the candidate votes for each election year.
Yeah.
So, if in a state, say for Kerala, there are say 20 seats. 20, no, it is 144.
Okay.
144 constituencies are there.
Yeah.
So it will be like how many graph will come? Display the outliers.
Yeah, it will be one graph, only one graph. The graph will have the state of Kerala, and what will happen is you will have the first part of the graph be for whatever 1950, and there will be a box and whiskers plots with the candidate votes or a violin plot. You can use a violin plot, and the idea then is to find the outliers. Then you will look at the next one, say it's 1956 or something like that, or yeah, and then so each election will basically go one section at a time like that across your graph. and then you will have outliers for each.
So the outliers in on which parameter are we looking for?
It's on candidate votes.
Candidate votes. So the persons who have got very high margin.
Yeah.
That is, and then again very low also will be outlier, no?
Yes, yeah, very low, as in zeros will be outliers. So that's why we said zero is. I mean, it depends. See, I can't say zero will be an outlier. It depends on your box and whiskers plot.
So it is on election year, and the outliers
will be based on candidate
it will be
votes.
the candidate name.
No, candidate votes.
Candidate votes.
Yeah. So you'll get let's say there were 20 constituencies and there were 400 candidates in total. Then you'll get 400 data points that will sit inside a box or whiskers plot or a violin plot.
Yes.
And then it will show you where the median is and where the upper bound and the lower bound is, and upper bound on first quartile and third quartile, and where the outliers are. So, or violin plot, and it will show you.
But Carlton, here you have mentioned for each election year. So
yes,
in case if there are 20 election years, then we'll be making 20 box and whiskers plots.
Yeah, so there'll be 20 columns in your, or 20 bars, I should say, in your.
But to show that 20 bars in one chart, like that would be very messed up. Like I don't know how you would be able to, how somebody would be able to see that thing.
Yeah,
so
except from what I remember from the data set. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't remember there being anything more than, let's say, maximum I've seen is like 16 elections sometimes for a state, I think. I
So
could be wrong.
we'll be representing each year.
Yeah.
Each year has one box and whiskers plot, right?
24.
Sorry, one person.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So we'll be representing one box and whiskers plot for each year, right?
Yes.
So roughly in case if there are 16 years, 16 box and whiskers plots.
Yeah, but that's not going to be. I don't know. I have to check the data set myself. I'm not sure how many election years you may get for a state. So.
And the same question goes for question number 2. Let's say we have got 15 candidates within a constituency. So we'll be making 15 scatter plots? Or do you want to give only few just for example?
I mean, it's so this one is for a given constituency, right?
Yeah. And the above one should also be for a given constituency, right?
No. This is specifically said for the state.
Okay, for a given state. So for all the states, all the constituencies.
No. For this, so it's, let's say you've been given West Bengal. You only have to do it for West Bengal for the first question. The second question, you have to do it for the state and constituency name. We can make that explicit in here. I'll just make a note. But that's what you'd have.
But then that makes the things like the question goes again, like in case if there's West Bengal and for the election years, so for all the candidates, let's say there are 1,000 candidates from different constituencies.
Yeah.
So how many box whiskers plots we are going to put there?
It would still be election year, right? So if there were 10 elections, then it would be 10 box and whisker plots. That's it. But within a box, within
one box plot, we have 1,000 data points.
Yes, correct. You will have 1,000 data points in one.
Okay.
But that does not mean you have to show 1,000 points. Yeah, you have to creatively decide how you're going to display the data.
Then here for, let's say we decided according to our discretion, then you'll have to make some kind of a checkpoints for the people who are going to check this, that these are the points. If is 1, 2, 3 available, give marks to the candidate.
Yeah, I mean.
Then there has to be instructions for the peer reviewers very clearly.
Yeah, I mean that comes later, right? The peer reviews. but I'll make a note of. Uh,
In the first part, where we are given state and constituency, what does the number before it states?
Sorry, could you repeat that question again? I didn't quite
In the
understand.
first part, for the programming assignment, if you click on that.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And in the data set, where it is the link given for the data set.
This one. Oh, no, sorry.
The below.
This one.
Yeah, the L16, what does it signify?
Oh, that's just for our purposes, I think. It just shows that it's a different key for that person. So when we run L16 in our answer script, we don't have to explicitly say West Bengal or Hassanabad. We just put L16 and the answer script will tell us what the answers should be.
Okay.
So that's for our end, the L16. Because say, for example, there was a problem with your particular, say yours was W32 or something, and there was an issue with W32. And then we can directly help the students who had an issue with W32, for example.
And we are going to use this particular data set like West Bengal with UNSPAD for all the questions, right?
Yeah, all your questions will deal with West Bengal and Hassanabad. So, or I mean, in this particular case, in your case, it will be whatever you got.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Was it on that same line? The link for the data, quantitative data, that is same for everybody, right? That is same for everyone.
Yeah, this
one.
This data set is same
No,
for
no, no,
everyone.
no. Yeah, this data set. Yeah, this
Yeah,
link is same for everyone, right?
This is same for everyone because it's
Okay.
the goal was to give everyone the same data set because
Yeah.
it's huge and useful for students to.
Okay.
Amrita, you had mentioned about peer reviews, right? So just wanted to.
Please come again. I didn't listen. I didn't hear you.
I think you were talking about peer reviews and that they should be given clear guidelines for.
Yeah, for the second, for the first project, I believe there won't be any peer reviews. Second one, there
No.
would be peer reviews, right?
Yeah. So you were talking specifically something, right? Just earlier.
Yeah, I was specifically talking like everybody would have their own assumptions for making this box plot, right?
For the chart. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, if I remember, if point number 1, 2, 3 is present, the candidate can give 30 marks. Let's say 40 marks. So I think if you make that kind of a particular sheet for a reference, it would be easier for people. Otherwise, during peer review, you would be bombarded with a lot of questions like how much marks to give, how many marks, 10 out of 10. So that kind of a, what do you call that? I don't remember that. There's a name, particular name for that. Okay.
Yeah, there's.
So how many points for how much thing?
Yeah, it's we've already actually right at the beginning of the course we had this
Rubrics.
discussion.
Perfect. Yeah, rubrics.
Yeah. Right at the beginning of the course, we had this discussion with the instructors, and they agreed that that's definitely what they're going to be making sure that for peer reviews to go smoothly, we would give them not just rubrics, but we would give them very clearly defined parameters on which to grade students for. And we will make sure on our end as your TAs, because they will give that responsibility to us as well. So we will make sure that from our end, we will make explicitly clear so that peers will know exactly what criteria to grade students.
Because I remember during stats, there was a lot of debate, like when people did not peer review, it was clearly mentioned in the Google Doc of stats too that these people who will not give, they will not be given 30% marks, they will be only given 70% marks. And later on, it happened that they all of a sudden changed after the stats 2 subject got over. And during the marks were given, they said no, who has not done peer review, they will be given 0. So that should be clear. Like in case if you are not doing peer review, you will lose 30% marks or you are going to lose everything. So please make that clear at least for this subject.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that because peer reviews cause a lot of heartburn for lots of students. So we'll make every effort on our end to make sure it goes smoothly and that there are clear guidelines given. Having said that, I just want to make it clear also that one of the goals of peer review is to give you the sense that even if you think everything should be perfect and you should get 100% score, there will be people who disagree with your viewpoint. So there is that element in there. Now I'm not going to comment about whether that's fair or not. Okay, that's not my place to say. But that's one of the goals of TDS, to give you that exposure to that the real world is not about perfect scores. That you will get people that disagree with how they evaluate you. So,
Yeah.
so
Carlton, in
that's.
addition,
Hmm.
before I'm forgetting, waiting for 2-3 minutes. See, we are talking about rubrics, no?
Yes.
In the guidelines for this project peer reviews, there is one point which tells if the particular reviewer gives same marks for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
then there is some negative marking for that reviewer.
Okay, we have not yet firmed up our rubrics yet. Okay, it's still in discussion.
Yeah, no,
So.
no. Why I'm telling that is, see, once a system of rubrics comes, then if the particular paper I am reviewing, if it satisfies all the rubrics, I have to give some marks. For
Yes.
10 people, I'm going to review. Everyone satisfied up to 70 marks. So I would
Mhm.
have given 70 for everyone.
Yeah.
But original note says that if you give same marks to everyone, then you are having some problem.
I mean, I can make a note of that.
Please.
But I can't say for sure what we are going to do in that situation, because
No,
it's something.
I just highlighted, that's all. What is
Yes.
going to finally happen to everyone will happen to everyone,
Mm.
including me. So once they're coming up with rubrics, then they should delete that also. Like if you give 100 for everyone,
Mm.
there is some, I couldn't remember the exact thing what I read, but if you
Yeah.
give same marks to everyone, that means you are having some problem.
Mm.
How is
I
that?
mean, the reviewer could just be lazy, right? He could just give
Yeah,
100 to everyone and say,
everyone
some
There
top.
could be
accepted.
all kinds of people, right? Somebody would be very like kind-hearted. He'll give 100 to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you give 100 to everyone, then your marks will be cut. So that is
uh,
what it says.
I mean, okay. Anyway, I'm not going to say what we are going to do at the moment, because I mean, we have not firmed up our own internal guidelines for it. So peer review will be give and take. You're going to negotiate, is it, Anwar? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, right. Okay, so I think that covers everything with regards to project. And anybody else have any suggestions that we could use or?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Hello.
Who's it? Who's this?
Does the question, every question contains equal marks?
You mean for the
Yeah,
project one
partly.
for quantitative assessment? Yes, every question has equal marks. There's no one question is not worth more than the other.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, the reason for that is because we were too lazy to make it that fine grained, where we think, students have to struggle more for this question, so this question should be worth more. We just didn't have the time to do that kind of deep, what you call for it, decision making with regards to marks. So
So
we just
project
said,
100 marks and project 200 marks.
oh, you mean for the whole thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure with regards to the grading of. I
Or
think this
maybe they
whole
might be
thing.
scaled down later on.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not sure of the scaling on that. I'll find out for
20%.
you.
Okay.
Carlton,
Yeah, no,
20%.
yeah, no, correct. The whole of project one is 20%, but with regards to, I think they're asking quantitative and qualitative. What is the split between
Right.
those two?
Right.
10-10,
So
no. It is
No,
given.
they wouldn't. We won't be able to give marks out of 10. They would scale down the complete marks later on, most probably.
Yeah, but I
No,
don't know what the split is between these two.
no, it is 10 and 10. I mean, whatever. For 20, 10 and 10 and 10, 7 and 3. Reviewer and one second. Okay.
Was it given in the graded document?
Yeah, it is given.
Okay, okay. Then whatever it says in the graded document with regards to the split, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's somewhere here anyway.
Each project is scored by 3%, 20% scored by 3.
So project 1, 20%. Does it say the split? Okay.
TDS has 2 projects. The test each project is scored by 3 peers on well-defined criteria, a total of 100. 20% of your score will be average of 3 peer evaluations.
Yeah.
A score with this plus or minus 30 was the average of the other 2 reviewer score. A reviewer gets everyone the same score. Peer reviewers without outliers get 1 bonus mark. I mean, this is in the closed introduction.
Yeah, yeah. So this is the bit that Naren is talking about. You guys can see my screen, right? I don't know if it's still visible.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, yeah. So it's been detailed over here how this split and everything happens. Okay. Any other questions?
We will be discussing further. Will we get any support regarding how to go about after some time?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we will definitely be on hand to help with solving any issues you might
On
have.
this, sorry, recursion, this on this box plot and the chart. Suppose if we are using Matplotlib, not
Yeah.
Excel.
Okay.
So in that case, I can save it as a JPG or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, I think you can do that. But what we'll do is, like we mentioned earlier, I'll just find out if there is some explicit instructions that are needed with regards to that. Because some suggested using a Colab, some suggested using Google Sheets. So I just want to make sure that whatever you submit will be acceptable and something that is fair to everyone. So
Google Sheet, I'm not that comfortable, and Excel, the version I'm using might not be having all these features.
yes, yes, I appreciate that. Yeah. So we'll definitely I'll ask the instructors if they have some guidelines we can provide students with regards to what the expectations are. So we'll clarify that for you guys.
Yeah,
And it'll be very soon.
or PDF or something could be okay.
Yeah, we'll clarify that as soon as possible, because then you can start working on your charts and things.
Right.
Any other questions?
After this play, somebody would have asked, I wouldn't have been there maybe. When is that week 4 graded assignments we are getting marks?
So we were supposed to have a catch up last Wednesday, but because of back-end issues with the project deployment, that became quite an important thing for us to work on. So we missed being able to deal with issues specifically to graded assignment 4. So so this week when we have a catch up, we will deal with that, and hopefully it will get solved sometime this week.
Okay, no rush.
Yeah. But I understand also that it's worth knowing if you got some wrong answers,
Yeah.
it's worth knowing what was wrong, right? So
Correct.
that's valuable. So I appreciate that and that concern. And so that's why I'll make it a priority to try and get it sorted out for you guys as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay. I guess everyone might be tired from quiz and want to probably turn in early. So we won't do any specific teaching tonight, I think, because it's already now 9:43. I was going to show some pivot tables and filtering for those of you who have not done BDM or something like that, because it's sometimes useful in ROE and also in for example, doing project, it might be useful. But we'll probably Amit might cover that in his next session. But if you have any very specific questions from the last 4 weeks, I can answer for you now. Any technical questions? I could perhaps attempt to do it now.
I
If
think
it
we
is
should bring it up in the next session
okay.
because you
I'll.
also will be tired after the quiz.
Well, I'm a bit lucky in that sense because I had only projects and BDM this term, so I had no
Okay.
quiz one.
Oh wow, great.
Okay. One thing I'll do before we close though, because this is a question that someone brought up in discourse, I'll just quickly answer one particular question that was brought up. And that was to do with, I was going to cover this last session, but because no one raised the question in during the session itself, I didn't deal with it because I thought it's fairly easy. But then there are some people who struggled with this question, this one, the house rent data set and how to do the slope. So I'll just quickly demonstrate that before we close today's session. If that's okay with you guys, or if you guys have some other technical question to ask that I can quickly answer now, then please ask. Otherwise, I'll just quickly demonstrate this and then we'll wind up for tonight. Okay, I'll just quickly do this thing. Right, so the way you go about it is, of course, we have to first get our CSV file. Okay. I have it downloaded already. Okay, yeah. So do any of you, I mean, were all of you able to solve this question without any issues before I continue? Did anyone, or rather, let me change the question. Did any of you have any issues with that particular question? I guess not. Okay. Okay. Right. So, okay, let me ask you another question then. How did you guys solve it? Did you solve it using Excel? Did you solve it using Pandas? What did you use? I can hear crickets. I can't hear anyone speaking. Pandas, pandas. Okay. Anyone else? What did you guys use?
Pandas, I think.
Okay. Okay, that's good. I mean, if you use pandas, that's fine. I'll just quickly show how to do it using Excel as well. I mean, my personal preference, of course, is always pandas, but there might be someone who might watch this video later, so I'll show how to do it using Excel. It's fairly quick and easy in Excel as well. So first thing is save the CSV file as an Excel file because that always makes it work better. You get better features when you use a CSV file as an Excel file. Then according to the question, it says, so in my case, it says furnished houses in Hyderabad and Delhi. So that's what we'll do. We go here and use shift command control and
The question
down.
is, how did you convert that data to Excel? Like it was very, like for saving it in Excel or extracting in Excel was also one Herculean task for me. Like I was not able to
Oh,
do it like in Excel.
oh, okay. I mean, what I did was I just opened. So what I did, I'll just show you. I just opened this file in Excel, okay, the CSV directly. And then it came up here. And then I just said file, save as. And then over here, it was in CSV. And I just said, instead, I said Excel SX, which is the
You're
very
doing
first.
that question of that Parquet data, right? Parquet file, right?
This is the house data for doing the slope regression.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how I converted the CSV. Now, if the file is very huge, like in the Parquet set, then in that case, you can't do it this way. So what I did there is, and I covered this in the last session, which has been uploaded, you can import it into Pandas and then export it after you do the filtering. So filter in Pandas and then export it out to Excel. So you can do it that way. so that Excel has a much smaller set of cells to work with. Right.
Got it.
So here what we do is we just select all the data that we have, and then I apply the filter, go to data and say, I think I already applied filter. And then once you add the filter, you will get these. I probably should make this a bit bigger for you guys to see. Okay, that's probably better. Right. So over here, once you apply the filter, you'll get these like little triangles that you're able to filter on. It's quite straightforward to use. So I think one of the cities in the question was, in my case, it's Hyderabad. So I just go here and I say Hyderabad, and poof, like magic, Hyderabad appears, only Hyderabad. And then the next thing, furnished. So I go here and I say furnished, poof, only furnished and Hyderabad appears. And then the regression was the slope regression was supposed to be on rent versus size. So I go here, I say, now this reason I'm showing this also, even if you guys done it in pandas, sometimes in ROE, you want to just get the job done very quick and dirty. So it might help you. So that's why I'm showing how to do it in Excel, even though you can do it in pandas. Okay. So you might gain something from this. So I selected only the rows and size. I copied it, open it in a new sheet always. And over here, always use space special and say values. Okay, so now you got the values. Now the next thing is we want the slope. So say equal to, okay, it might help to zoom in. Yeah. Can you see this? I'll need some audible clues.
Yeah.
Okay, so equal to slope, and we want rent versus size. So that's this column here, excluding the heading, and then we want, so you see here it says known y's and known x. So this will be the known y's. And then you get a slope for it. Then we do the same for, I think it was Delhi, right? So, so remember one thing in Excel, always remove the filters first, okay? And then work on it, because sometimes if you don't do that, then you might get some weird anomalies. So all Delhi is come, and I think this is also okay, but just to be sure, I'll remove the filter and then add it back. So Delhi furnished, again, same thing, rent and size, oops. Rent and size, copy, again, paste special values, calculate the slope, say equal to slope. This is your y values. And is it just 98 rows? Yeah. And then this is your x values. And the one thing I'm doing to quickly get the whole set is pressing Control Shift and the down arrow key. Okay, so that way you get everything in one go. And if it is on the Mac, then it's Command Shift down. Hit enter, and you get these two values for the slope. This so this one was Delhi. Better put it here, Delhi, and this one was Hyderabad. Just to be explicitly clear what it was. And then I think, what was the question asked? Find the absolute difference. So if I go here, this minus this gives you 22.09. Let's see if that was an answer. Yes, so there it is, 22.09824. That's it. That's all you had to do. So it's pretty straightforward and quick also in Excel. And learning different techniques is useful. Don't only stick to one method of doing things. If you know pandas, that's great, but it's also useful to know if you can do it other ways also very quick and dirty. So This is one way to do it. So you learned two things. I'll just recap. Filter the data. Also make sure it's in XLSX format, so that way you get all the features of Excel. And then over here, we copy pasted the values, but remember to only paste the values. Paste special, paste the values, and then you use the slope formula, and you have your y values in the first column and your x values in the other column, and then that gives you the slope regression for that. And then we just did according to the question, we wanted to find the difference between those two, and we got the correct answer. And the same thing applies for the next question also. So hopefully, even though you all have answered this question and you were able to solve it without any issues, I've hopefully given you another tool you can use. And that's what this whole course is about, giving you all the tools available to somehow get the answer no matter what. Okay.
But Carlson, normally there will be slight differences, no, in like slope you find using Excel.
Yeah.
And when you use Python and do it, I have seen there will be differences in it might not be exactly the same answer.
Slope is generally a very straightforward function. I'd be surprised if there were differences, because the slope regression is a well-studied, established. I mean, I don't know if there are different ways of doing slope regression. I only know of one way. I mean, do you know different ways of doing?
I'm not talking about slope. Slope I have not tried that way, but I have seen other things when we do in Excel. The way Excel do, like linear regression you do in Excel, and linear regression you do with pandas, that answer might not be exactly same.
Linear regression is the slope, right? I mean, in this case.
Sorry, not linear regression. I have.
But I understand your point.
Excel, even in linear regression, I was told Excel has got some special change or something like that. I had faced this issue before.
Okay. There might be differences in functions like forecast. That's possible.
Right.
Forecast ETS is a proprietary thing that Microsoft hasn't released how they do forecasting. That would be true. But something like linear regression, there's a standard methodology for that everyone uses, so it should work in this particular case. But yeah, there can be differences in certain things. Because pandas, for example, by default, or NumPy rather, its partner might do things with slightly different defaults, because some questions can have certain ways of doing things, right? Some parameters by which it does things. So those defaults might differ, and so you might get slightly different answers. But in this particular case, slope regression is a standard mathematical transformation. So you should be getting the same answer. Which reminds me of something else I wanted to mention. I'll mention it in this. So last session, if you were there, someone mentioned in pandas that axis equal to 1 is always columns. And I said, for the most part, yes, but there are some instances where it might not be. So I did some further, because I knew there were situations where I had faced where axis equal to 1 was completely unexpected. So what I did is I made sure I found out what the real deal was. So to clarify it, in pandas, axis equal to 1 is columns, but in its sister library, NumPy, axis equal to 1 is index or rows. So just be clear about that, okay? Because you will often use NumPy along with pandas. So there may be some functions in pandas that you'll use, and you use axis equal to 1. You'll expect the operation to happen on the columns, and that's correct, the correct assumption. But in NumPy, axis equal to 1 is a row operation. So just be sure you're clear about that when you're coding. Okay. Was it someone in this group that raised the question in the last session? Okay, I guess not. But anyway, there's the answer. And if you chat with your friends about it, just make sure to make them aware of it. Okay, because sometimes it can be very difficult to diagnose the problem when you're coding. Like, so for example, it's ROE, right? You're under pressure and you think you're doing the right thing. Everything looks right. The code looks right, but you're getting the wrong answers. So just make sure you're aware of that distinction. I hope that was a helpful thing for you. I mean, how many of you guys knew this? Okay, how many of you guys did not know this?
No, in last MLP session, this was taken actually over 10-15 minutes they spent on this.
Okay.
Two last but the other MLP section recently.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if everyone here has done MLP or not. So, but yeah.
My case, I'm just telling.
Oh, right. Did you find that you ran into problems and you did not know why it was?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
But it was a useful information given.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because otherwise it's hard to diagnose why you're getting the wrong answers. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, guys, it's 10 o'clock. Unless there are any more questions, we will wrap this up and give you guys some time to recover. Okay, no questions? Okay,
No
good
questions.
night, guys.
Night.
Yeah, thank you very much for attending the session.
Thank you, Carlton. Good night.
Yeah, and I hope, thank you. And I hope it was useful to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night. Thanks. Good night. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.